All right. Here on the Metal Mixtape, we got Mr. Jym Harris from Sylent Storm. What is up, Jym?
Dude, what is going on? The Metal Mixtape.
Hey, this is like familiar territory, huh?
Little bit familiar. I mean, not so familiar anymore. It's been a while, but you definitely got a good thing on.
Hey, man, well, I appreciate it, man, and I appreciate you being on, you know. Me and you got long history, you know. You were the host of the Metal Mixtape, and you passed it down like Thor's hammer. I appreciate it.
Yes, and you took it gracefully, I gotta say.
Well, dude, thank you so much, dude. I've been following you guys. You know, you guys have the your new album that you guys are working on, The Fire Never Dies. Your self-help album did so freaking awesome, dude. And I really love your lineup, and I can't wait for all the new releases that you're gonna have. You've given me a little taste here and there, and from what I hear, I think it's fucking awesome, dude. So tell me, what you guys have been up to during the COVID. Like, how are you guys in the process of writing this album? Are you guys like Skyping each other tracks? Are you guys like in the studio, just trying to do as much as possible? How are you guys going about this process of writing the album?
Well, the record was pretty much written before, you know, COVID hit. So we started tracking before there was, you know, a pandemic to be spoken of, really. I mean, we played one show just before everything went nuts, and we had started demoing and had scratch tracks for just about everything, and then we started doing our final tracks little by little until it got to the point where we couldn't be in the same room together. You know, traveling between places, you know, was difficult, and there was a big scare. So we just basically put everything on hold and didn't do anything really at all with recording or playing for this whole time. I mean, we still haven't played together as a band since there's been all this social distancing. We were supposed to this week, and it got postponed until next week. We just had a lot of delays, but luckily, a few weeks back, we started getting back in the studio and got everything completely recorded.
Yep. And
it's being mixed as we speak.
Hey, I think that's awesome, dude. So with your self-titled, you got a lot of positive comments. A lot of people loved all the music. So now writing The Fire That Never Dies, did you guys feel like any pressure that you guys have to top your last album just because you got so much positive feedback?
Absolutely, and it's not so much topping it, but the way I look at it, we don't want to alienate any of the original fans.
Okay.
So the people that got the EP, you know, they got a snapshot of what we sounded like, you know, in our first couple of years, you know, with the different lineup, and you know, it's that. So that EP is super important. It's basically our demo, and so we have gone back in the studio, and on this album we have re-recorded some of the material from the EP, and the guys that are in the band that are on the record put their own little spin on a few things and changed a few things up, and I think it sounds more like the band that we are now. You know, the EP sounded like the band that we were then, and this album sounds like the band that we are now. And as far as any of the publicity that we got, it's been pretty much universally positive. So that's one of the main things. We don't want to put out a record that sounds nothing like the band that you heard on the first record.
No, I totally agree, dude. So, you know, with everything going on and all the stresses going on, how do you go about writing your lyrics? Do you have like a certain certain things you're going to talk about or a certain concept you're going to have for the album? Or do you usually just write like off your emotions? How do you go about like when the songs are starting to get written? Like, what's the first thing that comes to your mind when you start writing lyrics? Like, do you have a mindset?
Well, it kind of, just about every possible way you can imagine happens. So it's not always one way. Sometimes the riff comes first, and then maybe a vocal melody, and I don't have any words yet. Sometimes I wake up with a lyric in my head, and I write the lyrics out with no melody idea, and then match it up to some music later, you know. So sometimes it's the melody, sometimes it's the lyrics, sometimes the riff comes first, and sometimes it all comes together. I'll just pick up an acoustic guitar and start strumming on it, and I get an idea, and the lyrics and the melody and everything just kind of comes together, and in an afternoon I'll have a song that's pretty much like 90% done. Then I will show that to the other guys, and then they make little tweaks and change things, the voicing and the chords, and we change tempos and arrangement, and everybody puts their signature on it. And that's when I'm writing something. Sometimes our guitar player will come up with the music and show me music that's, you know, for example, Shadow in the Dark, he wrote the music 100%. He had it, although it was a finished song with no lyrics and no melody. And then I listened to it and kind of thought about, well, what does this song feel like? What does it, you know, and I got this dark and light shadow thing idea, and so I named it Shadow in the Dark, and then proceeded to write the lyrics after that. So sometimes the concept, I don't even know what the song is about. I might have a few words and some notes I want to hit, but I don't know if there's a message or what it's about until I start writing, and I'll just start scribbling things down, and next thing you know, I have a page full of lyrics, and I start looking at it and kind of piecing it together, and then it starts to come together. A lot of times I say, and it's a funny thing to say, but I don't feel like I write the songs. I just find them. Like, they're already there. I just need to figure out how to put them together.
No, I totally agree, man. So with The Fire That Never Dies, first off, I want to say the art is awesome. The little nitbits I've heard here and there are awesome. So, with you guys getting signed and recently, like, getting all these massive offers, tell me some of the struggles of being in a growing band, because, one of the things is, with a lot of bands, like, they'll release all these albums, and then once, the pressure hits, a lot of bands seem to crumble. Tell me how you've had to deal with the pressures of getting signed and getting all these offers.
Well, a lot of it's financial,
Yeah.
As you know, sometimes you just don't have the funds to do all the things that you want to do.
Yeah.
And that could be in getting, your stage banner or getting the right amount of gear. I demo songs on, like, the silliest possible, like, how do I put it? I don't have a studio, I don't have a professional recording studio built into my house. So I'll record, like, the guitar acoustic, and then I run it through GarageBand on my phone, add distortion to it, and put a drum machine on it, and sing into my phone, and I try to mix it as best possible just to have a reference, so I can, again, show it to the guys, and we can turn it into something listenable. So as far as struggles go, that's probably the big one, is time, and being able to get everybody on the same page, getting everybody literally in the same room, trying to make the same thing. And then, and financial, it's always a financial struggle. I'm sure that if bands have, one guy in the band that's rich and is, whatever, he's got unlimited funds. I had a project, something like that, probably about 20 years ago, where there was, we had some financial backing, and it was a lot easier when we came up with an idea. We could just say, hey, we want to get this thing, we want to do a demo, we want to whatever, and there was money for it. Anymore, I try to cut as many corners as possible, and that comes with, basically knowing people, just having friends that'll help us out with artwork and flyers and booking shows and making the connections.
Yeah, no, absolutely, man, and there is a lot of struggles, and I can't tell you how many bands after, like, the 3-year mark just seem to break under the pressure, or just, like you said, financial, or people grow up, or people have families, and it's pretty hard to keep going. It almost gets to the point where I see a lot of bands that have gone through those struggles, so what they'll do is that they just won't play shows for, like, 3 months, and then they'll, like, tour for, like, a month. And then they'll do it over in cycles, but every time they go dormant for 3 months, they have a new EP ready, a new line of merch ready, and they just hit it hard. It's almost like you have to be selective. I believe a musician told me that always toured said that you put just as much energy into a local show than you do on a show out of town.
Right. Yeah, well, and there's also the internal struggles where you want everybody to be trying to make the same music, if that makes any sense. In our band, as you know, we have vastly different influences, each of us. And I really hyper-focus on trying to make sure that every song sounds like Sylent Storm, because it's not about me and it's not about any of the musicians in the band. It's about the finished product sounding good and sounding right and sounding like it's all from the same band. Because you don't want to have 10 songs that sound like 10 different bands. You want to have 10 songs that each one sounds different, but they still sound like the same band put them out. I spent a year really stressing that to my guys, and now it's to the point where I think we all understand what Sylent Storm is and what we aren't. So I don't think anybody's going to bring a reggae riff to the table and try to incorporate it into a Sylent Storm song. But if they do, maybe we can make it work, you know? I mean, I'm not that stressed about it anymore because now it is established what our sound is, and we pull in a lot of different directions. So there's even acoustic stuff on the new album. So there's slow stuff, there's some stuff that's almost like doom metal influences.
Yeah.
There's things, there's elements of speed metal and power metal. And, of course, you know, the traditional heavy metal, and even some of what people call hair metal, you know, like the arena bands like Dawkins and Rat. We have one foot in that sensibility, and then one in the more, like, European-influenced American bands like Omen and Warlord, the more epic, triumphant-sounding stuff. And I think that we balance that pretty well.
So, you know, with you guys dropping your video, Patriots of Metal, and, like I said, just getting all this attention, how do you deal with dealing with all the comments and maybe some of the negative things, like, or not necessarily just the negative things, but maybe like people in the higher ups or people in labels saying that like you should look a certain way or maybe just do something a little different? How do you deal with people's critiques now that you're getting them a lot more?
Well, it depends on who they're coming from. Like if it's somebody who is just trolling, you know, somebody says on a YouTube video, oh, the singer sucks, or these guys are lame, or anything like that, you know, that's the kind of thing you just sort of take with a grain of salt. There are people out there that are just going to say that. They're just going to spew negativity. And it thickens your skin for sure, because the first day that video was up, we probably got 3 negative comments, and I was just like, oh, man, but just like anybody would be. You know, you're like, maybe I should do things differently. And then after you see 100 positive comments to the 3 negatives or whatever the balance is, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's like been 10,000 views on that video, and there's been like 22 thumbs down and like 300 some thumbs up, you know?
Yeah.
So you realize that's really not, it's not like what everybody's thinking. Not everybody's not saying, oh, this is lame or whatever. Most people are digging it. And occasionally you're going to come across somebody who's only a fan of death metal or industrial or whatever. And if you're not doing the thing that they want, they're going to go, oh, this is stupid, you know? Yeah. So that's going to happen. But the people in the business that I respect, professionals that will give us critiques, I really take a lot of that into consideration with our look, with the logo, with the art choices, and how we, you know, take photographs, how it's produced, all of that kind of thing. You know, if we're doing stuff that doesn't match, I like to know. I ask for critiques. As you know, I ask you for critiques. You know, like what do you think this song needs, or do you like this, or do you think there's enough backing vocals, or too much guitar, not enough drums? You know, all that. I do like to hear good feedback. When I don't mean good feedback meaning positive. I mean feedback that's useful.
Yeah, and one thing I agree with you also is that, like, you know, when you're getting all these critiques that some people might only be into certain styles of music. So when I go online and I watch these videos of people doing certain reviews, and I can sometimes tell that they're just completely biased against the whole genre in general. So I usually try to look for people that like all aspects of metal, you know? I think metal and all the styles is like food, you know? You have your good parts about it, and you have some of your bad parts, you know, and some food is just delicious.
Yeah, food analogies are great because everybody can understand food because everybody eats.
You know what I mean? It's like, you know, you like Chinese food, but not all Chinese food's the best. You like all pizza, but you don't like it without pepperoni.
Right. Yeah. I even that was one of the analogies when I formed this version of the band. You know, I told the guys, you know, we're playing traditional heavy metal, and if you buy, you know, you go to a place that says that it's traditional Italian cuisine, you know that they're only going to use the ingredients from the old world, you know. And then there's pizza places that are more fusion. You can go to Ashland and you can get a pizza with pan-seared pea snaps on it or whatever, something that they never put on a pizza back in, you know, if you look at like old Sicilian recipes, you know, they say, oh, you always have to use this kind of tomato or whatever. We definitely adhere to most of the traditional elements, but we're not that scared of blending in something modern or occasionally throwing in something surprising or whatever. But we're not experimental. I mean, we're not going to be like, hey, every time there's a change, we want to do a thing that makes the listener go, whoa, I didn't expect that. You know, We're not really, that's not who we are.
No, absolutely. So for the fans that loved your guys' self-titled, what can they expect from The Fire That Never Dies? What can they expect maybe that's different? Or what can they expect that you didn't capture off the first album?
Good question. I was just talking to our producer about this, and this is kind of how I put it. The EP only had 4 original songs. Okay. So it's 4 original songs, a cover tune, and then like an instrumental version of one of the songs. Okay. If you think about that, those 4 songs didn't really sound like each other. Those songs, it's not like anybody's ever going to be listening to Patriots of Metal and go, wait, was this Witch's Blood? You know, you're never going to listen to Witch's Blood and think it's Eye of the Storm. You're never going to listen to Betrayal and think it's, you know, see what I'm saying? Like, definitely their own sound. So, EP was a 4-pointed star, if you will. Okay. And then this album is a 12-pointed star. Each point pointing in a different direction, you know, like the surface level is bigger, you know, so therefore there's more points on it all the way around.
Absolutely, dude, and I like that. And I think, you know, with every album, all the musicians always grow, and you could always expect something different. Are you so for future albums, are you trying to grow maybe as a musician or like pushing the guys a little harder for each album, like every release? Because I know, you know, the bigger a band gets, the more pressure gets, and the more people want the band to stay completely the same.
Yeah, we're not scared of changing things up, and we've already discussed pulling in different directions, maybe adding a little bit more of this and a little less of that, basically just to try and please the guys in the band, because, I mean, what's the point if it's not fun, you know?
Exactly.
So I want it to be fun for these guys. I want each guy to feel like, you know, my bassist is jazzing it up enough that he's comfortable playing because he's a jazz guy, you know, and guitar player's more of a blues guy. And the drummer that plays on the record is definitely more into prog kind of stuff. So giving these guys kind of free rein to definitely spread their own stink on everything, you know, and feel like when you hear the record, I said the other day to our producer, I said, you know, this record, what I really like about it is you could solo the drums, right? Just listen to the drums from this album. Yep. And anybody that knows Rich is playing is going to go, that's Rich, you know, for sure. And same with the basses. You're going to, if you listen to just the bass tracks from this album, anybody would say that's Mike Pugh. You know, the guitars, you're definitely going to say that's Michael Ian Brisbane. Vocally, you're going to know it's me. I want everybody to feel like that they're really doing their own thing while we all still have the same focus. We're all still trying to make the same type of music. And all I'm worried about is that it sound like us, you know, and absolutely. I think that rather than sound good or bad, as long as it sounds accurate, then that's the best thing we could hope for, is that somebody listens to the record and goes, that's what Sylent Storm sounds like. That's what I think we're going for on at least on this album. And yeah, and we're not afraid to grow after this record, because I've already written a handful of tunes for the next record, and we've got a bunch of parts and pieces sitting around that are definitely different than anything we've done before.
Yeah, no, I totally dig it, man, and I think you guys hit all the aspects, you know, of what should be put into a good record. You know, all the musicians get to be used to their max. You guys are keeping the pure sound of Sylent Storm, and I completely love it, dude. So, before we end this interview, I'm going to hit you with 5 questions, and you have 10 seconds or less to answer each question. Are you ready, Jym Harris?
I guess I'm ready.
All right, in a zombie apocalypse, what is your weapon of choice if you could have any weapon?
See, that's the thing. 10 seconds. It's not enough time.
All right, 5 more seconds. Go.
All right, I guess an AK or an AR.
All right, sounds good. If there was a superhero or supervillain that you can best compare yourself to, who would it be?
Spider-Man.
Awesome. All right, what is one food you can't stand?
One food I can't stand.
Just nasty. You know, you smell it, you look at it, it's just gross.
Any kind of melon.
What? All right, what is one food you can't live without?
One food I can't live without, I would have to say, probably that's in my hand right now, which is wasabi and soy sauce, Blue Diamond almonds. That's a plug for the company, by the way, because these are the dankest of dank. I love almonds. So almonds.
I like it, dude. So, what is the one thing you like doing besides music that maybe like you like to decompress and just relax to?
You know, it's crazy. I'm a big movie watcher. I watch a lot of movies, and that's probably the thing I do the most outside of doing music things, because I do so many things with music. You know, listening to music and reading about it, and you know, making music. And I just got Scott Ian's book, and I'm a couple chapters in, and it's super enthralling. I mean, if you know, I know you're an Anthrax fan, so that's definitely one to check out.
Dude, that's awesome.
Watch the movies.
No, I definitely will, man. I'm always like going online, and I'm always watching like just work ethic type of videos, and I just love hearing it. You know, when me and Josh talked to JJ Frank, we'll have this conversation later. You know, but JJ Frank just absolutely blew my mind with music industry stuff. So, hey, Jym, you want to do me one more favor before I let you go?
Absolutely.
You want to give me a station ID and say, this is Jym Harris from Sylent Storm, and you're listening to the Metal Mixtape?
Yep. All right, now?
Yep, you're ready.
This is Jym Harris from Sylent Storm, and you're listening to the Metal Mixtape.
Jimbo, thank you so much, brother. You have a good night, okay?
Thank you, man. Talk to you soon.